The federal government reportedly spent nearly $80,000 on focus groups to find out that Canadians would rather see pictures of happy people rather than ones suffering. The Canadian government has been wasting your precious tax dollars asking questions any thinking person would obviously already know the answers to. The folks at Blacklock's Reporter have all the details, and like always, I'll make the same disclaimer that I generally make about Blacklocks. They keep their content behind a paywall, so you're only going to get the Coles Notes version of the story from me, plus my own commentary. I'm not going to give away for free what Blacklocks is asking you to pay for, because that's how they pay the bills over there. Anyway, from the Blacklocks story. The Department of Foreign Affairs in pre-election research paid pollsters $78,964 to test voters' responses to images promoting foreign aid. Photos of laughing children were most popular. Simple information should be used to express the scope of assistance provided and ensure it remains memorable, said a report qualitative research on international assistance. Participants were most compelled by stories that engaged them through a sense of connection. The department commissioned 10 focus groups with voters in Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, Quebec City, and Halifax in late July. A final report by Narrative Research of Halifax was delivered August 29th, just 13 days before the election was called. Participants gravitated towards images that showed happy people and situations as they conveyed a sense that Canada's efforts were successful at having a positive impact on people's lives. Wrote researchers, photos of laughing children tested best. Images of a drought-stricken African plain or farmers with a foreign aid tractor were least popular. Honestly, I could have told them this very obvious factoid about humanity and human nature for, $40,000, and I could have saved the taxpayer like 50%. People don't like to see other people suffering, generally speaking, and there's a real reason why people don't like to sit beside crying babies on airplanes. Crying children are unpleasant. This was never something that anybody needed to examine using our tax dollars. But did this out-of-control spending on opinion research become part of a growing trend when the Liberals took over in 2015? Just look at this iPolitics article from back in September of 2017. At $12.5 million, federal government spending on public opinion research has reached its highest point in nearly a decade, according to a new report posted quietly on the Public Services and Procurement Canada website. In the previous fiscal year, that's 2015-2016, the federal government spent $3.8 million. The year before that, it was $4.1 million. Of the 34 departments spending money on focus groups and polling, research between April 2016 and March 2017, the Privy Council office spent the most at $2.4 million. So let's paraphrase what we just read, shall we? Nearly instantly after the Liberals took power in 2015, they tripled spending on focus group research. The Liberals got busy polling for answers on things that common sense would already dictate to try to sell Canadians on their bad ideas. And you know what? I guess it worked. I mean, they got reelected, didn't they? Now let's go back to the reason that Foreign Affairs commissioned that public opinion research in the first place, because it's important. I think people have fallen completely out of love with Justin Trudeau's foreign aid spending. After all, it's increased in recent years, reaching an all-time high of $6.1 billion in 2018. Canadians' tolerance for this was evidenced in the responses to the public opinion research. Again, let's go back to that Blacklock's article. Pollsters also noted criticism of foreign aid spending. We aren't taking care of our own house, the report quoted one focus group participant. People are bad-mouthing Trudeau for spending money abroad when Canada is suffering, said another. I'd like to know what the government's priorities are. And those opinions, well, they're not wrong. Progress has certainly been made on the number of long-term boil water advisories on Canada's First Nations reserves and communities. However, 57 boil water advisories remain in those First Nations communities, covering nearly 6,000 homes and community buildings. Some of our fellow Canadians can't get access to a glass of water right out of the tap. And our government is wasting our money to try to convince us to keep spending $6.1 billion to help people outside of Canada. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Like the folks at Blacklock's, we will never take a dime from Justin Trudeau. We can't hold him to account when we are in his pocket. That's why we need support from people like you at home. Now, one of the best ways to support us gets you a little something in return. You can just treat yourself to a premium Rebel subscription. Just go to premium.rebelnews.com.